Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. I have a few eye products from Lisa Eldridge to show you. You probably have seen a few videos about this if you're a keen makeup fan, because I think her PR is really good. She obviously gets her PR samples out to the favoured YouTubers to show the range just before it becomes available for purchase. So I'd actually seen her video, and her own videos are really good, as you would expect. She's such a good makeup artist, explaining the names, the packaging, the rationale, how to use the products. And I generally think they give a fair old idea of which colours, for example, are going to suit me. I don't have quite the same colouring as Lisa. I'm not dark haired, for instance, but our skin tone is not that different. She's probably just a shade darker skin tone than I am. So I ordered straight away, and since then I've seen quite a few videos. The order came really, really quickly, if not the next day, the day after. And so I have been using a couple of these products this week, which are the liquid silk, these ones, which unsurprisingly are liquid eyeshadows. I got two shades. This shade is called Phoebe. It's quite a warm, I would describe it as a kind of light tan shade. Good all year really, but very suitable for this time of year. And then the cooler, I think this is called Iona. Yeah. Which Lisa said was her favourite shade. Let's see if I can focus a bit better. There we go. And it's looking a bit lighter in my viewfinder. I don't know what the actual film would look like. And they're both, are they matte? I don't know whether that really describes them, but not glittery. Now, I've used both of these. Surprisingly, I actually prefer this one on me. I say surprisingly because I tend to like cooler tones rather than warm, but I like them both. Let's just do a quick swatch, the usual sort of Dauphin. Quick squidge. I don't need a lot on the eye. I've got quite greasy, slippery eyes. What I like about the formulation is it doesn't dry too quickly. So you have, not forever, you've got to get a move on. But if you want to blend out, you have a little while when you can work with these shades before they become dry. And you can really have them as intense or as light as you like. And they're really easy to blend. I find they, perhaps bleed a little bit in the corners of my eye, and I just clean up a little bit with a Q-tip. But otherwise, they're great. They dry in a few minutes. I mean, I think that's fairly dry now. You can use them as a base. I intend to try them as a base for the eyeshadows in this palette, which I'll show you in a minute. I haven't tried that yet. I've literally used these as one and done with a bit of mascara, and both of them have been great. They last pretty well on the eye. It was a very hot day on Thursday, and I was pretty sweaty. I mean, literally, my face was perspiring, so I was expecting them to have run anywhere, and there was a little bit of creasing on the eyelid, but it wasn't bad. And generally, they just fade on me quite gradually and evenly, and you don't get that awful kind of creased, messy eye look, which might look okay when you're a teenager and you can say it's kind of a rock chick look, but doesn't look so great when you're middle-aged with crepey eyes. So I really like both of them. I hope you can see that the Iona, which is pretty, it's kind of lilac-y brown taupe. And why I was hesitating whether they're matte, I mean, they're not glittery, but there is almost a little sheen on that. But I really like them. They're great, and I think they'll last for a long time. So really simple, fuss-free makeup, and reasonably priced. I can't tell you the price off the top of my head, which is bad, isn't it? If I was a good YouTuber, I'd have made a note. But I remember thinking they compared well with some of the products I've bought similar from Chanel and Tom Ford and the likes. Then I haven't bought any of Lisa's eye palettes up till now, largely because, although I was curious, I think she bought I was about 6. I was curious about them. I wanted to try them, but I couldn't make up my mind which palette to get because all of them had shades that I liked the look of and shades that I knew I wouldn't use. And it was a real kind of mixed bag. I knew the palettes are refillable, so you can, in theory, customize your palette. I mean, you have to buy a complete palette to begin with, but then there are all the refills. So in theory, if you didn't like a colour, you can take it out and buy a refill of one that you do and customize your own palette. But it's a slightly expensive way of doing things. But this new palette, which is called Fawn, I thought sounded more up my street as being more kind of neutrals. When we have a look in a minute, you'll see maybe I'm not right about that. Not because they aren't neutral, but there's quite a lot of quite dark shades. I don't know how pigmented they are because I literally have not swatched this or used it at all yet. So we're going to have a first look together. But before we do that, let's admire the Lisa Eldridge packaging, which has that vintage feel. I think she does this so much better than Charlotte Tilbury, who also claims to have the kind of vintage packaging. A couple of the products have been quite nicely packaged, but most of it's quite plasticky, I think. Whereas this, looks really nice and authentic. The nice detailing is the very fine kind of frilled lines that we have there. And her engraved. I was just pausing there. I thought I could hear my phone going. It's actually, my next door neighbour is obviously a very good classical musician and they're practising the piano. I don't know if you can hear that. So let's have a look at Fawn and the colours that you get. Now, you'll see immediately, I think, there are these really 4 quite dark shades that are a bit similar, more similar than I thought when I saw it. So down here, I'm reading off the back of the pack, we have Dorian, which is a luster. So these are different. So this is very pigmented, as I feared. Luster formula. That applies really nicely. I mean, dark browns can be horribly patchy, but that's kind of at the edge of what I would wear in terms of dark pigment. Then above it we have white tie, which is a luminous. So not the equivalent of the glitters that you get in Charlotte, although it does look a bit glittery on. A nice gleaming shade. That's very pretty. I would definitely go for that in party season, in the corner of the eye or over something else. Then I thought this one looked very nice on the demo. This is Debutante and it's a satin duo. Goodness knows what that means. They all feel very soft as you stick your finger in. Now that's much lighter than you might expect. Again, very pretty, although it doesn't show up that much on my skin tone. Again, a bit of a party shade. Above it, Supernaturally, which is a seamless matte. So a matte should really be the kind of workhorse in a palette. That's quite a dull, thankfully a bit lighter than it looks in the pan. Very pigmented, much warmer than the other matte. I mean, these are really shades that kind of match the two liquid silks that I've got. So I do plan to see how they look kind of layered over that for maybe a more durable, stronger look, or, you know, putting that on top later in the day to go out in the evening. What's impressive is there isn't any kind of fallout or bubbling of those formulas. Then at this far side, the bottom, we've got Upper West Side, which is a velvet, usually my favourite formula. And above it, another seamless matte, which is Burnt Clove. So let's have a look at Upper West Side. Oh, that's so soft, actually. That's interesting. There we go. So a lighter, warmer, ready. They're swatching a lighter tone than they look in the pan. Again, it's a beautiful formula there. And then finally Burnt Clove, the seamless matte again, the darkest. That's going to be tough for me to wear as anything other than a liner, and I don't really use soft shadows to line. But, I mean, it is a nice palette. You're getting 6 rather than, you know, the 4 quad shades. The quality is really beautiful. It's up there with Tom Ford quality. You know, my only doubt was the one you can hardly see now, which is that pretty debutante down there, the Satin Duo, that I was really expecting to love. That's a little bit disappointing, but the others all absolutely great performance on a swatch level. We'll find out what they're like on the eye. So overall, I think it's a very wearable shade combo. Nothing stunning. Many of you will have similar or very much the same in your collections, and there'll be no need to get this. I do recommend to look at those liquid silks. Well, you're going to have to order one if you want to look at it, because she's not there in any shops, I don't think, yet. Unless there's some pop-up somewhere or other that she does from time to time. I think those are nice. I can't imagine anyone not finding a use for a basic that functions as well as they do. And there are lots more shades, by the way. I mean, those were the 2 kind of most boring shades, of course, that I picked. But they're all very wearable. The other thing I wanted to mention with this, you know, if you want to travel, this is a nice size. It's not huge at all. It's, you know, the size, it's a bit elongated, but not much bigger than a Chanel quad. In fact, it's narrower. And doesn't weigh too much. That means obviously that you're not getting a huge amount of product, but you know me, I never managed to use anything up in years and years, so I would rather have something that is light and usable than masses of product that I know I'll never get through. So those are my initial thoughts on the palette and the slightly more informed thoughts on the liquid silk of Lisa Eldridge. I know there are lots of Lisa Eldridge fans out there. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of her as a makeup artist and as someone making YouTube videos and explaining all things makeup and indeed jewellery, in fact. I haven't loved all of her products, particularly the foundations. But overall, I think, you know, they're really good quality for a reasonable price. You know, their quality is generally up there with the biggies, and she's still more reasonably priced and offers a really excellent mail order service. So there we go. She doesn't send me anything, by the way. I haven't got any PR freebies. I bought these as always. So I hope you're all having a great weekend. I might even, oh, by the way, this nail polish, well, I'll talk about this a bit more tomorrow maybe. I want to show you the bits I got from Hermes' latest autumn release, and this nail polish is one of them. And actually, in the viewfinder, that's a good representation because you can see the kind of slightly khaki tone, which isn't always that obvious in real life. But more about that tomorrow or later in the week. Until then, have a wonderful weekend, and I shall see you all soon. Bye for now.